Hello there, welcome to this video. What is ETL? The E in ETL stands for extract, the T in ETL stands for transform, and the L in ETL stands for load. So ETL is basically a process. It is a data pipeline used to collect data from various sources, then transforms the data according to business rules, and then loads the data into a destination data store or warehouse. You can extract data from homogeneous or heterogeneous data sources. That means you can extract the data from one source or from several sources. You can then transform the data for storing in a proper format, because when you extract data from different sources, they may be in different formats. So you can then use the transform process to transform the data into a proper format according to your business requirements. And then you can use the load process to load the transformed data into its final destination or target, which could be a data warehouse or data store. So let's take a look at a brief illustration of how the ETL process works. So you start with data source. So you need to identify where you are going to extract your data from. So you can extract data from different sources. For example, you can extract data from a Microsoft SQL server. You can extract data from an Oracle database and also from a flat file. Now, once you've extracted the data, you also need to put it in a staging area. So the staging area is going to be the holding place for the extracted data from different sources. And once you have then extracted the data from different sources, it goes into the staging area, and the next phase is going to be the transformation. So this is where you transform the data from various sources. The transformation process basically takes place in a specialized engine, and also often will involve using staging tables, which will be used to temporarily hold data as it is being transformed from the source to the destination. So once the data has been transformed, you can hold it in a repository. From that repository, you can then load the transformed data into your data store or data warehouse. And this could include several database systems you want to load the data into. So this is just a basic illustration of how the ETL process works. The data transformation that takes place usually involves various operations, which could include filtering the data, sorting the data, aggregating the data, even joining the data. It also can clean the data and deduplicate the data and also validate the data. So these are the various transformation processes that you can take when you are deploying or employing an ETL process. You can also often run these three ETL phases. You can make them run in parallel to each other to save time. For example, while the data is being extracted, a transformation process could be working on the data that has already been received and prepare that data for loading. Also, a loading process can begin working on the data it has received rather than waiting for the entire extraction process to complete. So you can have these three phases, the extract, transform, and load, work in parallel to each other to save time. A common problem that a lot of organizations face is how to gather data from multiple sources in multiple formats and then move it to one or more data store. The destination may not be the same type of data store as the source data, and often the format is different, or the data needs to be cleansed or shaped in such a way before it gets loaded into its final destination. And there are various tools and services that can be used for this process. If you're dealing with Microsoft SQL Server, you can use the SQL Server integration services to implement an ETL process.